Green Noise is back for season 2.
Welcome to Green Noise, a podcast series from Cape Nature that is bringing nature to life, and we use white noise to try to sleep better, but green noise to make life better.
You've got this wall of fire coming towards you. What are you going to do?
It's a massive shift in tourism.
To build an inclusive and connected society, especially in the Western Cape.
Women just do things differently.
Welcome to Green Noise, a podcast series from Cape Nature which celebrates and contemplates ecotourism, sustainability, and us as humans in the modern world's relationship with nature. Cape Nature obviously working as the Biodiversity Conservation Authority across the Western Cape. This, for me, after 11 years of broadcasting, is a first. If you're listening to this show and not watching it, my feet are in a river right now. I'm being nibbled by tadpoles, and so far it's working out. But if you hear a yelp at any moment, not coming from either of my wonderful guests today, don't panic. I'm just dealing with a frog-related emergency. We are in the gorgeous Assegaaibosch, which is in the Itumeleng Nature Reserve, which is a conservation area run by Cape Nature beyond Stellenbosch in the Western Cape. It is a gorgeous and wonderful day. And today we're going to be talking about the phenomenal and crucial work that women in particular play in the tourism industry and the sustainability industry. I'm going to start off by giving you some really important basic framing, which you may not know, which is that women make up close to 70% of South Africa's tourism workforce as compared to the number of women in many other top sectors. Just to give you a basic understanding, just over 52% of the people who work in farming or agriculture are women, and just down to 12% are women in the mining labor force. So truly, tourism and eco-sustainability is a field and an area and a sector where women do the most phenomenal work as custodians for and celebrants of this crucial relationship that we have with our world. So today we're going to be contemplating that. I've got two wonderful guests. Louw is the head of leisure tourism at Wesgro, and Itumeleng Pooe is the managing director of Afri-Centric luxury travel experiences and curated events. Guys, how's the water temperature? Are we feeling good? Feeling positive?
The water temperature is really great. As I said earlier, I'm really glad I had a pedicure before today because I didn't realize these bad boys would be out and on show. But yeah, wonderful to be here, Dan, and thank you for the opportunity to Cape Nature.
I've stowed my toes under some rocks because I don't know what a pedi is or a mani. And you, Itumeleng, is this something you've ever done before?
So refreshing after the traffic rush and the morning rush, and this is perfect and good for the body and the energy for the day. So wonderful to be in the stunning reserve, which is Assegaaibosch picnic site. It's incredible to have an office setting in such a stunning environment.
Imagine.
Thank you.
I've actually never been to this one before. I actually think I've hiked in Itumeleng.
Yeah.
But this is a kind of base camp before or after your hike with this river and this gorgeous setting amongst these incredible mountains. It's just one of those jaw-dropping Western Cape nature experiences. What other, actually, just out of interest, Cape Nature Reserves do you two really enjoy? Itumeleng?
I love a few of them. So it's like a child being in a candy store. But if I am held at gunpoint, I would say Louw.
Oh, yes.
It's beautiful. I think it's a biodiversity hotspot for me. It just takes you into another world and shows you various ecosystems. So it always makes my heart so happy when I'm in Louw.
Good.
But there are many others. But if I were to choose, Louw, of course.
And you, Julia? Nobody's holding a gun to your head.
No guns to my head at all. Without a doubt, hands down, it has to be Kogelberg Biosphere. It is one of my absolute favorite reserves. My husband and I, and unfortunately we couldn't take our dogs. It's not dog friendly, but that doesn't matter. It has the most incredible hikes. There's beautiful eco pods, when you do the tubing in the middle of winter and the water is freezing, but it's that brown, beautiful mountain water. And obviously we're in the Cape Floristic region, UNESCO World Heritage Site. So we need to celebrate all things that make us truly Western Cape and so special. So Kogelberg.
I love Kogelberg. Actually, the first time I ever went there was to shoot season 1 of Green Noise, which I'm sure many of the listeners and viewers have already seen. But now we're in Assegaaibosch and it's wonderful to be here. So Julia, we're going to start at the start. what is Wesgro? I know that that's probably something you don't often have to explain, but I think for a lot of people who are not in the business world, I only learned about Wesgro through a friend of mine who was working at Wesgro. What is Wesgro and your role in it?
It's a very good question, actually. So Wesgro is the tourism trade and investment promotions agency for Cape Town and the Western Cape. We're a Schedule 3C government-funded entity, and our job is to take the Western Cape to the world and bring the world to the Western Cape through various projects that we have within the agency. So besides, our tourism side, investment trade, we also have what we call special projects within the agency. So air access, getting direct airlift into the province, Cruise Cape Town, attracting cruise liners, high-value cruise liners to the province. Our new EduInvest project, where we work with the education department to actually facilitate education investment. So there's really a lot of things that happen within Wesgro. My role specifically, I have the fun stuff. I do all things tourism, so focus on tourism marketing, tourism promotion, and just generally, taking this wonderful world-class province to the rest of the world.
And what's exciting you right now that Wesgro is working on?
Sure, there's so many things. I mean, we don't have to speak about the traffic. We just referenced it on the way here. I mean, you can just feel it. You can feel the buzz in the city. You can feel it everywhere you go. I mean, I drove up to Jonkershoek, getting a little bit lost coming here this morning, and I just heard Germans and Dutch and French. I mean, and it's the end of February. So the exciting thing is that I think seasonality is no longer something that we're so hell-bent on.
Yeah.
I think the foreigners are coming back, and they're coming all year round. They're coming to experience our regions, which is actually Wesgro's job. We need to get regional spread out there. Cape Town is the hook. Everybody knows Cape Town, but they don't necessarily know about the Overberg or the Winelands or the Karoo. So it's so wonderful to hear those foreign accents deeper into the province.
Totally.
I think we're doing a good job.
And Itumeleng, tell me about Afri-Centric.
We are a luxury travel company based in Cape Town. We do the rest of South Africa and the Southern African region, SADC. We do luxury travel for leisure travelers, and we also do incentive travel. And recently we've gone into the cruise tourism, being the DMC to do all their excursions while they are in the country. And we did one across the 8 South African ports last year, which was a maiden voyage on the west coast of South Africa, going to Saldanha for the first time, Hermanus and Mossel Bay and the other coasts. So really an exciting array of services that we offer, but we are rooted in South Africa, into sustainable tourism, and we're always excited about the opportunities that there are in the industry.
Man, if I were you, I would want to take like an experiential evaluation of your company like every day. Oh no, I'm just going to go into this cruise liner to see if it's really working, to see if the experience is as good as we think. Oh no, I'm just going to hang out with this luxury brand and that. I mean, it sounds glamorous.
You're giving me ideas. The back end is hard work. It's always being there, curating, making it experiential, making it exceptional, making sure that you tie all the knots, making sure that you take into consideration the community, sustainability, all the partners, bringing them on board, giving them opportunities, and making sure that the collaboration and partnerships are successful and also sustainable into the future.
And what's the experience that Afri-Centric provides that you are most excited about right now? I know you mentioned the Saldanha trip, but like, what are the kinds of experiences, or maybe one that you're particularly frothing for at the moment?
There are several, but I think the most riveting one was just going out of Cape Town a little bit, getting into the countryside, into the hinterland, because the beauty of every city, and Cape Town particularly, is outside Cape Town. Cape Town is iconic, it's vibrant, but going out gives you more depth of the destination. So going to the West Coast, just spending time with the fishermen, kayaking in the West Coast National Park and all of that are really raw, authentic experiences. And how about ending that with a seafood poiki somewhere on the coast, and seafood braai and all of that,
you need
telling
to stop.
stories.
I'm going to cut
and all
this
of that.
interview right now and get in my car. And Itumeleng, tell me about, I'm sure you have an enormous interest in incorporating some Cape Nature experiences and destinations into Afri-Centric, because there are some amazing offerings that Cape Nature has now.
Absolutely. I think we haven't really done enough. We did one experience that was girls' weekend away with some women that I've worked with in the wine industry. We stayed at Lekkerwater and we did that long walk and swam in the sea. It was such an incredible experience, and we did a Fynbos tour safari, which was incredible. But I know that Cape Nature has some amazing reserves and destinations that we need to start putting into our programs. We are looking at glamping in particular for our adventurous guests, and I think Cape Nature lends itself as the most appropriate and most stunning option for us to look into. We will try to look at Kugelberg. We're going to try to look at many others that have now introduced new offerings, especially in the space of glamping, because it's a big phenomenon.
Totally.
I'm going to come in there as well. For the mom and pop shops at home, a lot of people don't realize that Wesgro does what we call white label collateral or destination assets and playbooks and itinerary development for people that don't know the destination. So we have a lot which include and incorporate the Cape Nature products and the Cape Nature offerings, whether it just be day experiences or day itineraries. So we always we stress to please, follow us on social media, sign up to our newsletter, all that content is there. And if you need something and if you need pictures, Wesgro is the place to look for it, where we can assist and facilitate the trade with their content. So yeah, and Cape Nature, wonderful product. I think we need to go to Kugelberg. Of course, I think so.
Yeah.
So for both of you, let's talk about women in tourism. The tourism industry, nearly 70% are women, and you two are both perfect examples of women doing phenomenal work. So let's start with Wesgro. In what ways, Julia, does Wesgro support women-owned tourism businesses?
So to the explanation of earlier, the agency has a variety of different facets within the agency. So we have what we call an export advancement program. We have investment facilitation. We have something called Made in the Cape. Made in the Cape is about products which are of origin Western Cape, and we assist those products to find buyers through what we call the Cape Trade Portal platform. Those are just on the investment and the business side. We also then have red tape reduction through our one-stop shop. We have business facilitation. We take delegations into market, what we call the missions. We actually take businesses into market. So if anybody is wanting to understand the offerings of Wesgro or how we can help, as a female business in tourism or as a female business woman in business, right? There are so many different ways that the agency assists and facilitates on a program level. So it really is an array of assistance and facilitation.
Because there are particular challenges facing women going into business, right? There's kind of like a patriarchal construct assuming that women's roles are in the home, or at least that women are not capable of running businesses successfully like Itumeleng does. And so I imagine with Wesgro there is a sensitivity to the extra interventions that can be made to nullify that disadvantage that women are forced to submit to, kind of, or at least experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the agency, transparency is also key, because we always need to be as neutral as possible to kind of, I don't want to say take sides, but we're very lucky. We have a very strong CEO who is a female. Most of our C-suite are females. Within my team, the majority are females. It's quite interesting to see how at an agency, we have a very strong female representation. So I think it's not something that we necessarily put out there, but it's something that automatically we know that it will be done. And I think if anybody knows Wesgro, and hopefully after this a few more people will know who Wesgro is, when we say something, we do it, and we try and do it as best as possible. We also have our advocacy team, also headed up by a lady, a very strong lady who's actually a lawyer, studied at Stellenbosch. So, we have all these different women in place who are there to facilitate, and they understand the role of women because obviously we are women ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then Itumeleng, almost to this exact point, tell me about the inspiration and then the struggle with you starting your business and your entrepreneurial work, and how you were able to overcome some of those challenges.
I think having been in the travel industry for more than 30 years, getting into it as an entrepreneur was quite a natural flow. And I'm always excited about the opportunities that tourism brings into any destination because it has a multiplier effect. It has the ability to narrow the gap between the rich and poor, urban and rural, and all of that. So I've always been drawn into this industry for so many reasons. And what has inspired me is the opportunity that there are in the industry to go commercial after working for both public and private institutions in the travel industry, being the one industry, the maritime, and working for Wesgro in the past and SA Tourism. I just thought this was a natural fit, and also I'm very passionate about the beauty and the potential of this country and what it can convey to the world and how we can inspire the world.
And what kind of challenges or obstacles did you overcome early doors in starting your own business and finding your space within the industry?
I didn't realize that it was so cold on the other side. I think a number of challenges that you go there and you realize that there's a lot of support or incentives, but they are either sporadic. I'm grateful for those that I got, but they're either sporadic or inconsistent.
Yes.
And half the time you wonder, is it tick box exercise, or is it does it lack sort of long-term vision?
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with just how we are evolving as a destination, how we're also trying to get our backyard sorted. But access to markets, because as a small company, you really can afford to be at various platforms. And you need to be in the market, your presence and your visibility. And the fact that there's a bit of a one-size-fits-all. If you are a small business, you remain small for the rest of your life. Instead of saying a coordinated, coherent, intentional approach of saying, this is business A, we're going to bet on business A, and this is the kind of support we're going to give over a period of time. And this is business B, probably we could do one or two things. And
I
so,
see.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so Julia, tell me about With Love from the Locals, a recent Wesgro campaign, and how that was able to inspire and engage with the concept of community-based tourism.
Okay, super. So if I take maybe a couple of steps back.
Okay.
So With Love from Locals was born out of the insight that people that come to a destination, there's no better way to teach or learn about a destination to the people that actually live there, right? Because, I mean, we are ultimately the best storytellers of our destination. So we, as the Western Cape, have generally had this feeling or understanding of not being a friendly place or not being one for all. And it's true, you know, because a lot of people maybe 8-10 years ago would think that about the Western Cape. So we went out there looking for people that are telling a true Western Cape story. And it's amazing. There are so many of us. I think all of us sitting here right now could tell a true Western Cape story. And if you just look at the protagonist, you know, from Faiza in the Boerkaap telling a story about the cooking and the gastronomy. And, you know, the Western Cape has won so many awards lately as being a truly foodie haven. And then you go to Carmen Stevens, you know, the winemaker, female, her own wine label, also having won recent awards, telling wonderful stories. And the importance of this is we call it visitor experiences. So visitor experiences are gastronomy, arts and culture, heritage, active adventure. So all of these protagonists speak to some form of visitor experience. And then we go to Tannie Poppy in Beaufort West, you know, who sells her roaster cook on the side of the road. I don't know if you've ever seen Tannie Poppy going through Beaufort West.
I haven't, but I love roaster
The
cook.
best roaster cook that you can ever experience. But just having somebody that wouldn't necessarily be on your news feed or on your Instagram reels is somebody like Tannie Poppy. And that was the idea, that to take these locals and suddenly put them onto people's reels and onto their Instagram feeds. And then we go up the west coast to Nunki, you know, at Kwatu, you know, speaking the local language of the San people and the heritage and the culture, you know. I just think that they're four incredible women that truly told their stories through visitor experiences. So that is where With Love from the Locals was born out of. It was born out of telling the stories from the locals, by the locals, with people that you would not ordinarily find on your Instagram feed.
And how did Wesgro pull that off? Like, how do you turn that from somebody who's just maybe never been on camera or is almost feeling a bit bashful and exposed about having to try and explain the magic of what she does into on your feet? Like, what was the campaign strategy like to make that happen?
Yeah, so we're very lucky. We have very clever people in our brand and comms department. Obviously, we write a brief, we look at the insights. But then when you find the people and you tell the story of what we do, and you must remember that tourism, especially, from the female perspective, because generally they're the breadwinners, looking after the kids and things
Pillars
like that.
of the community.
Pillars of the community, absolutely. And tourism is tourism for good, right? Tourism has economic impact. And if you start telling the story around the fact that through being a brand ambassador for the place that you live in, for your region of origin, that brand ambassador results in economic impact.
Yes.
So you can be a hero or you can be a role model to somebody else in the community that sees what you're doing as maybe Tiny Poppy, and then they also want to follow in your footsteps. So the campaign was around finding them, explaining the situation, and obviously then showing the good that tourism does for the destination. I don't know if I answered your question correctly,
you did.
But did
That was good.
Okay, good.
It made perfect sense to me.
Okay, good.
And then Itumeleng with Afri-Centric, so you guys do luxury travel, which is great. But you also, you mentioned it earlier with the kayaking and the kind of spending time with local fishers up the west coast and the fish poiki and the rest. You really seem to emphasize authentically cultural experiences of everyday people that make this area of the world so magical and exciting beyond the jaw-dropping natural beauty. How do you pull that off? That seems quite tricky to me, or at least like an interesting knot to unknot, because so often when we think of luxury travel, we think of this very austere kind of like Western European sense of like 5-star accommodation and this travel liner and that cable car, and so little of the uniqueness of places kind of bleeds into it,
When you do that, it's always challenging, because if you move from a certain radius out of the mainstream of tourism, it cuts the margins. But just being intentional about packaging or putting together your experiences in a way that they talk to sustainability. Sustainability doesn't mean sub-brand of the destination. It means experiences that are authentic, that are educational, entertaining, tell the story of the destination, and we understand that to understand the destination is to connect with people culturally through their heritage and those authentic experiences of storytelling that Julia alluded to.
Can you give me an example of like one of the experiences that Afri-Centric does which manages to bring all that together?
I will talk about the one that we took a group of 250 people to Tankwa. We set up a village, a tent village for overnight. We took them by road, which was a challenge but very exciting. We brought all the people from the Karoo to eat Karoo lamb, drinking moor coffee. I don't know if this is the appropriate way to call it. Also just talking to the local farmers and getting local people to share their music, to share their cultural rituals and all of that.
Amazing.
And the best way to get to know the destination over and above the sterilized part of, and I went to the movie, you can go to a movie in any country, is to really take people on these experiences that are based on culture and heritage, because they deepen the understanding and the depth of the destination knowledge and connection. And it creates connection between the locals and the visitors. But the most important thing is to always research, go out in the areas, go out in the communities, find out what sticks and what could be put into the itineraries and what could be curated into an experience that will really be inspirational.
For sure.
Can I just say something on top of that? It's funny, obviously we have a lot of research and we do a lot of stuff on insights, but the insights coming out of a lot of the markets is that in a post-COVID world, people are wanting community, they're wanting culture, and they're wanting experiences. In a pre-COVID world, it was a tick box exercise. I just want to see the big five, I want to go up the mountain. But now people are actually wanting to truly invest, understand. And that is really good because, I know we have the word of Ubuntu and South Africa has such great cultural connection. I don't think I've been to any country in the world that has as much of a cultural stamp that South Africans do. And I think it's truly one of our
Absolutely.
best selling points, and we should be harnessing that power wherever we go.
And that leads into the next question because, it seems like every day now you go online and you discover another insight or hot take or perspective on digital nomads. People who come from other countries in the world generally have extraordinary buying power here because they're doing remote work with earning in foreign currency and that. And that's created particular challenges in and around Cape Town with housing and with accommodation rates and the rest. But it's undeniable that digital nomads also bring in a lot of money and spend a lot of money. So I'm interested, Julia, how Wesgro kind of engages in this. It seems like a high wire balancing act. It seems like really tricky because you want tourism to be phenomenal, but Cape Town's tourism has now become so phenomenal that it's almost like, how do the locals function?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very hot topic. So I'm going to respond very neutrally as well, obviously, from the agency's perspective. Firstly, we just have to look at the economic impact, right? I mean, we know that a digital nomad is somebody that is coming to eat, sleep, live, attract, travel. They're going to spend their euros, their pounds, their dollars, and they're going to spend it far more than a normal person would do. And they can do that for 3 months constantly, right? They're permanently on holiday, but yet working on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of years ago, Wesgro had a campaign. I stand to be corrected on the name now. It was, why live here when you can live here? It was something along those lines, but just about taking the beauty of the destination and where you can literally have your laptop under, the foothills of Lion's Head. But to go back to the digital nomads, we need to find that even balance. We need to have what we call a residence out approach, meaning that if I don't want to live here, why would a digital nomad want to come and work here, right? So we need to take the residents along on this journey, and that is so important. And I think that the city and the province, and obviously, again, complete neutrality, I think we're doing a good job at taking the residents along, but it's important for the residents to understand, again, the economic impact. We're a third world country. We've got a lot of deep-seated issues, and tourism truly is our golden beacon. It's our shining star, and a digital nomad just has a different name. They're ultimately a tourist that's coming to work here for 3 to 6 months, So it's a very low-hanging fruit, and we should embrace it, but we should also let the residents understand the importance of these digital nomads. As from a destination's perspective. And another thing is, we need brand South Africa to come along here. Obviously, I wear a Western Cape hat, but I'm South Africa first and foremost. We are always brand South Africa first and foremost. So we need those digital nomads to go into the country. They need to go to KZN and to Gauteng and, up into the Northern Cape. They need to explore our beautiful country. It shouldn't just be a Western Cape alone. It needs to be brand South Africa.
But even as you were mentioning earlier, and Itumeleng, you also did, about how there is so much more to the Western Cape than Cape Town. There is on another episode, I was just mentioning how few people come to Cape Town and know about the extraordinary jaw-dropping experience of Chapman's Peak Drive, outrageous. There's so much to see here and so much to enjoy beyond what people know and what ends up in, New York Times, 10 best places to go in South Africa. And so, Julia, I wanted to ask, how is partnering with Cape Nature allowed Wesgro to show tourists more of places like Yonkers?
Yeah, absolutely. So our Cape Nature partnership is an incredibly exceptional partnership. So Cape Nature traditionally has always just focused on the domestic market, right? But now that they're starting to really upskill their different offerings, I mentioned Kogelberg earlier, and they're making it more of a 4 or 5 star offering where the international ones understand. So when I go into market, I take Cape Nature along with me. So, they're part of our presentation. They're part of all of the pitches that we do. We work with them on various marketing campaigns we've done in partnership, around the Easter holidays. They use our footage, we use their footage, vice versa. Because, again, to the point earlier, people are wanting truly immersive experiences where is there such a place that's a hidden secret anymore? I don't think that there is, right? Although here we sit and I think, sure, but this could be a little hidden secret, right? Of course. It really could be. So the partnership with Cape Nature is key because what makes the Western Cape truly exceptional is our nature offerings. Yes. What makes it exceptional is that you can be in the city and within 40 minutes, you can be surrounded by mountains. You can be surrounded by ocean. You can be in just incredible forests. And that's why we need partners like Cape Nature to ensure that, they do the boots on the ground kind of work where they keep the attractions and they make sure that they're maintained and looked after. And we do the marketing and we assist and we work together when we go into market.
Sure. And finally, Itumeleng, you have such an inspirational story of your own success. not just as a woman in business, but as a business person through Afri-Centric and the work that you've done. What is your sense of where the industry is right now, wrapping up this conversation about women in this sector? Do you think that there are enough women or do you think that there are enough spaces in business like Wesgro where the vast majority of the leadership is women? And if you don't think that there's enough, how can that be changed so that more people like you can end up in those key decision-making powers?
I think you can never really fully arrive. It's a journey. It's a journey of growth and journey of change. It's dynamic. There's been a lot of recent developments to advance women, and very significant developments, but a lot still needs to happen. We need to amplify, we need to increase the volume, bringing in more women, bringing them to the table, especially coming to decision making, and also bringing about innovative ideas, because women just do things differently. Men do things, but they could complement each other and meet each other halfway. There are a number of programs that are necessary, but I think these programs need to have a very solid foundation, and it has to be timed. Mentorship programs for women, owned businesses in tourism, the recruitment and bringing people into the workspace has to have a formalized way of how we recruit more women and how we escalate them, and also just look at women-owned businesses and then try to help them in scaling, not helping them that they don't do the work. They do the work, but they are supported, and they know that behind them there's a lot of support. Also just consistency and coaching for women-owned businesses, and also the businesses would differ. It would be my kind of business that is more a little formal, and then you have Auntie Sophie in Genadendal doing something else. How do you support Auntie Sophie in the manner that it talks to her business directly, as opposed to the support that you give to a company like mine would be totally different. Also just coming up with creative programs that will encourage women to get into the industry, and also just making space for them when they are there, that other women-owned businesses handhold them. And role modeling, people like Julia would be fantastic role models for other women who want to venture into this exciting industry. Into this exciting industry, because I think tourism, I don't want to sound like a home defender, because this is the industry that I know, that I've been in for many years, but it's a panacea. It's the only industry, or one of the industries, that could really amplify economic development, especially because of its entry requirements are not that stringent. Tourism goes everywhere. You can think about things like agro-tourism. You go far into the hinterland. You think about cultural tourism. You find it everywhere. So every little place can have its own unique offerings and its own little story. And this could be driven by women mostly, and because women just always know.
Live from the river at Assegaaibosch. Thank you so much to Itumeleng Pooe from Afri-Centric and Julia Louw from Wesgro for this really fascinating conversation brought to you by Cape Nature on the Green Noise podcast.